Hi, I'm Victoria Cook with Forkful of Flavor. Today we are going to use our Instant Pot to make some chicken tacos with frozen chicken breasts. But before we do that, I have had so many friends and acquaintances tell me they have an Instant Pot or some brand of electric pressure cooker that they do not use because they don't know how or they're afraid of it. So today I want to share with you some tips and tricks that I teach high school students at the school our son used to attend. So for the last 2 years, I've taught the kids how to make our savory meatball recipe. That's on my blog. I'll link to that below in the comments. But I teach them how to use the Instant Pot and how to make a really nice, quick appetizer. Today, we're going to make chicken tacos with frozen chicken. But let's start by looking at the Instant Pot. You may have a different brand, or you may even have an Instant Pot that looks a little bit different on the front screen. Each time they seem to make another generation of the Instant Pot or a different version, they do change some of the items that are on the screen. But they're all, for the most part, fairly similar, has been my experience. These are not our grandma's Instant Pot, or not Instant Pots, but pressure cookers that used to be on the stove and, you know, the horror stories of things blowing up. We're not going to have that for the most part with these. I've just not had any trouble. So let's start by looking at the lid. For starters, you can see it closed and open here, but if you turn it, it will, sorry, my other one is, I have another pot that's cooking and it's just now finishing, so it's peeping in the background. But you turn and lift to open the Instant Pot. You'll see right away inside the lid, there is a rubber ring. This ring needs to be inserted correctly so that it seals the pot. And so I also take it out when I clean it, and it's pretty easy. Just pull it out like that. You can wash the lid when you're done. You can wash the rubber ring, and then you want to put it back in and make sure it's got a good seal. That's the first thing you want to do. If you don't have this sealed properly, the Instant Pot will never come to pressure. That's the first thing, is your lid. You'll also notice on the lid that there is a venting knob. Now some of these flip back and forth. This one swivels front and back, and I don't know if you can read that, but one part says venting, the other says sealing. So when we close the lid, we're going to make sure that it's set to the sealing, and then when we want to release the pressure, we turn it to venting. I don't know if you can also see there's a little metal piece here. This is a locking mechanism. So when the pot comes to pressure, this locks and the lid cannot be opened. It's a safety feature. You cannot open it until the pressure is released. And we'll talk about how to do that in a little bit. All right, so that's our pot lid. The next part is there's a liner. The liner is usually stainless steel, but all mine are stainless steel. And they do have a max fill line on the inside, if you can see that. But you never want to fill your pot with liquids and food higher than that line. If you do, you risk the pot not having enough room to come to pressure and it not cooking properly. Some things like beans get a little bit foamy, and so you definitely don't want to pass that mark, because then the beans and the foaminess sometimes will come out the the little area here on the lid. I've seen that as well. So definitely be mindful of that fill line. Next, to put the lid back on, you set it down and then twist. You can hear those tones that are letting you know the lid is in place, or if you're opening it, it will sound again. Now it's open. Now it's locked. If your Instant Pot also has little slits in your handles, like this one does, that is a great place to set your handle. So when you are trying to open it up and stir whatever's inside, you've got a place to put your handle. All right, let's look at the screen of the Instant Pot. So moving a little closer here. You'll see there are a lot of pre-done buttons on either side. I'll be honest, I've only used a few of them. I love saute. Saute is a way of doing just what you would do in a pan. You can saute in your Instant Pot by pressing the button for saute. And then right now you can see it's set for a normal heat. You can change that as well by pressing saute again. And now it's more, meaning it will be hotter. And then if I press it again, there's less, so it won't be quite as hot. So you can kind of control the temperature of your sauteing, which I really like. I'm just gonna hit cancel because I'm not gonna saute today. The way, if you have a recipe that says you want to cook something on high pressure for 4 minutes, then you don't need any of the buttons. You just press the pressure cook button, and then you can use the plus and minus buttons to get the desired number of minutes. Of course, you're going to have the lid closed and sealed, and then it will turn on. So there's nothing to do to start the Instant Pot. That's one of the things that can be a little confusing, is you just set the number of minutes, and the pot waits, and as long as there's no more buttons pushed within so many seconds, then it will actually just turn on and start coming to pressure. Again, I'm going to hit cancel because we're not actually going to use that time. I use the bean chili button often when I'm making homemade refried beans. I've used that. The rice button, I love making Instant Pot rice. That'll have to be a whole nother little class, but rice in the Instant Pot is awesome. I've used steam before to steam some things. I've used the yogurt button, mostly to proof dough, believe it or not. So this tool can do a lot for you. Now, with pressure cooking, some recipes, most things you cook on high pressure. There are some that require low. So on this particular pot, you can see there is a pressure level button. So once I would select pressure cook, I have the number of minutes set, and then right now it's set to high pressure. I can put that to low. Press it again, it's high. So those are just some of the basic features on the Instant Pot. All right, let's go ahead and make our tacos. All right, so we're going to make chicken tacos in the Instant Pot. I am using frozen chicken breast. I think this is one of the best reasons to have my Instant Pot. I use frozen food often. I just don't always plan ahead, and so these suckers are frozen. But I can still cook them in the Instant Pot. So this is a super simple recipe. We've got a couple of chicken breasts that are frozen. I've got 1 cup of organic chicken broth. I have 3 tablespoons of my homemade taco seasoning. Also on my blog, I will link to that in the comments. And then I'm going to use probably about half of this jar of organic salsa. I like hot. You can use spicy or mild, whichever you prefer. Super simple recipe. I'm going to twist and open up my Instant Pot. I'm going to start by putting in 1 cup of the broth. I'm going to place my frozen chicken breast right inside, right next to each other, side by side. Simple. And then I'm going to sprinkle my taco seasoning right on top of those chicken breasts. And then I'm going to use about half this jar of salsa. If you don't have salsa, you can use a can of Rotel or tomatoes with green chilies. Also works really well. Actually, I'm going to use the whole jar. And that's pretty much it. Close the lid. Make sure that the little venting button is to seal. And then we're going to turn on our Instant Pot. So a couple quick things I just want to mention about cooking in an electric pressure cooker. You hear people say all the time, oh, I made chicken breast in 4 minutes or 8 minutes. I cooked something in 2 minutes. That sounds awesome, but it isn't the whole story. So one of the things you need to keep in mind is that once you turn on the pressure cooker, it has to come to pressure. And the time that it takes to come to pressure will directly depend upon how much liquid and how much food is in your pot. If you've got a full, pot of refried or black beans or pinto beans that you're cooking from dry, and you've got a whole, 8 or 9 cups of liquid in there, it's going to take a lot longer to come to pressure, probably 15 minutes, maybe more. But that is all part of the cooking process. With only 1 cup of liquid in this particular pot, it should only take maybe 4 or 5 minutes to come to pressure. But again, that is part of the cooking process. So you never want to discount that. But then once it comes to pressure, it will turn on, and however many minutes you set it for, we're going to set these chicken breasts for about 11 minutes. And that 11 is going to show up on the screen, and then it will start counting backwards. And that's how you know that it's cooking. Once it gets to 0, then you can release the pressure from the Instant Pot if the recipe calls for a quick pressure release, and I can show you that when we're done. Or sometimes it'll say a natural pressure release, and that means that once it's done cooking, it gets to that 0, you're just going to leave the pot for however many minutes it's set for a natural pressure release. So a lot of times with meat, the cooking time might be 35 minutes with a 10 or a 15-minute natural pressure release. You're going to add that on to the end of the cooking. You're just going to leave the pot. And then again, it's part of the process of the cooking. And then when that time is up, you'll see on the front, my Instant Pot starts to count upwards. So it'll usually has an L, and it'll count 1, 2, 3, counting up. And when I get to that 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever the recipe calls for a natural pressure release, then I can release any remaining pressure that might be still in the pot and open the lid. But that's all part of the cooking process. So when someone says they made something in 2 minutes in the Instant Pot, yes, it was 2 minutes probably of cooking time, but you do have the 3, 4, 5 minutes or more time that it takes to come to pressure. And again, when it comes to pressure, that little metal piece is that locking mechanism is gonna pop up, and you won't be able to open this lid until it completely releases all that pressure. It's a safety mechanism. So that's why you don't have to be afraid of your Instant Pot. It's not gonna blow up on you. All right, let's get these tacos cooking. All right, so all of our ingredients are inside our Instant Pot, and we're going to turn it on to cook our frozen chicken breasts. Now, if you had chicken breasts that were not frozen, you only need to cook them for about 7 to 8 minutes. But these ones are frozen, and we're going to want to cook them for anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes, depending on how thick they are. I'm going to go with 11 minutes for this particular batch. The chickens weren't too thick, and I only have 2 of them in there. So to do that, I'm going to press pressure cook. And I'm going to use the plus button to change the time of how long I want to cook them. I'm going to go with 11 minutes. And make sure that our venting mechanism is set to seal. Front would be unsealed, back is sealed for mine. You can see the pot is now turned on. It knows it wants to cook for the 11 minutes. It is set to high pressure. Normal operation for the keep warm stage, and now it's going to work on coming to pressure, and that can take again anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes to come to pressure. And once it does, then we will see the time come up on the screen, and it will start to count backwards, and then we know the ingredients are actually cooking. Okay, the pot is still coming to pressure. It has been about 12 minutes so far, and it stopped now, but I was trying to catch it. There was a little bit of steam being released from that back seal, and that is perfectly normal before the pot comes to pressure. I'm not an expert, so I don't know all the details and the whys and things about the pot. I just know how I use it, but that's not uncommon to see a little bit of steam coming out before it finally seals, and then you'll hear the click of the pin pop up to lock the lid. So don't be alarmed if that is happening. Now, if there's a lot of spitting happening around the lid itself or out that sealing spout, it could be the rubber ring is not sealed properly. So that is something I want to check. But otherwise, you just let it be and let it do its thing. All right, so our pot just beeped, and you'll see on the screen that it shows 11 minutes, and now it's going to start counting backwards. So that took about 13 minutes for the pot to fully come to pressure, and for that time to show up on the screen. And that 12-13 minute time frame is also part of that cooking. So that plus the 11 minutes is the total cook time for what's inside our pot. So now we'll let it count down until it gets to 0, and then we can release the pressure and open it up and check on our meat. So that means our Instant Pot has completed the cooking portion, and now if we leave it, that would be for a natural pressure release. It will go into a low setting mode. I think that's what the L means. And then it will start counting up. So then that will show you how long it's been in the mode of kind of keep warm and just letting the food sit within the pot with the pressure still within the pot. And again, this can often be part of recipes, especially if you're cooking beef. A lot of recipes that I cook when I make beef or barbacoa, it'll be like a 45-minute cook time in the Instant Pot, and then a 10 or 15-minute, 20-minute natural pressure release. So you just leave it in the pot. You don't do anything until it shows the time that you want to leave it for natural pressure. This recipe does not require a natural pressure release. And as you can see, we've already got 1 minute. It's been sitting in the pot for 1 minute doing a natural pressure release. But I'm going to go ahead and release the pressure. And I think this is the thing that scares folks the most. And it is loud. I like to use this little silicone device that you put on the end of the releasing pressure releasing nozzle, and it helps direct the steam so it's not going up the front of your cabinet. And I just put it on like that, and now I'm going to turn it and release that pressure. That is super hot, so you have to be careful. If you don't have one of these silicone, stop it. If you don't have one of these silicone venting tools, you can just throw a dish towel over the little nozzle and then turn it to release the pressure, and then that will absorb some of that steam and not have it going all over your kitchen or up the front of your cabinets. I'm going to finish the venting process. So you can see, I'm just going to come around back here, and you can see that this is still up. I cannot open, oh, there, it just popped down. I hope you saw that. When it's up, you cannot open the lid, and when it's down, you just turn it and you can open the lid. It's safe to do that. All the pressure has been released. And here we have our chicken inside. So I'm just going to shred this up. Take it out, shred it up. I'm going to save some of that juicy leftover juices when I shred my chicken and put it in the bowl to keep it from getting dry. We're going to have some really good tacos. Now that our chicken for our chicken tacos is cooked, I'm just going to use some tongs to take it out of the Instant Pot. It's slippery. There we go. Put them in another dish. And then I'm just going to use a couple kitchen forks and shred this up. It's super tender, as you can see, it's just falling apart. I just want to shred up all this chicken. You can use it in tacos or burritos, tostadas. So yummy, I can smell it already. It smells so good. It smells like cumin. So I'm just gonna shred it all up. You can leave it as chunky or as shredded if you'd like. Honestly, I usually have my husband shred the meat while I do other things in the kitchen, but it's so easy. smells so good. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of the leftover juices from the Instant Pot to the chicken. This is just going to help keep it moist and make it really easy to reheat. One of the things I actually really love to do with my Instant Pot is to reheat food. Now, if I weren't serving this today and I were going to, say, bring it to a party tomorrow, I would save all of the liquid and pour it in here. Then I would transfer it back into the Instant Pot the next day when I'm ready to get prepared for serving the meal. I would put it in the Instant Pot, set it for 1 minute, just 1 minute. Close the lid and let that come to pressure. Cook for 1 minute and then it would be done. Release the pressure and everything inside is beautifully heated up and ready to serve. So it's a great way to reheat dishes or soups. Love to do that with soups. Now again, if it's a lot of liquid, like a soup or a chili or something, chili, you gotta have enough liquid in the bottom or it will scorch. So chili, I've not actually reheated, but I do love to heat soups in the Instant Pot. And when you've got, kind of a whole pot of soup in there, it does take, 15, 20 minutes or more to come to pressure, and then that 1 minute, quote unquote, cook time, and you'll have perfectly warmed soup. Love doing that. I do that a lot with my dinner parties. Make the soup in advance, put it in the Instant Pot before serving, set it for 1 minute, and then just leave it in the Instant Pot on the low keep warm setting, and it's just delicious. All right, well, we're gonna have to take a bite of this. Make a chicken taco. I've got a flour tortilla here. Usually I use corn, but I didn't have corn today, so I've got a flour. Put a little bit of chicken in here. Add some homemade salsa. I'm gonna add in there a little bit of sour cream. And a little bit of lettuce. I just had some mixed greens, so I pulled out the crunchy bits. And we have a delicious chicken taco made in the Instant Pot. So I hope now you're not afraid of your Instant Pot and you know how to use it, and we'll give it a try. Oh, it's juicy. Enjoy. So good.